You can take a seat, Mr. Worthing.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer standing.
Arvada Center audiences are in for a treat.
It's a romantic comedy, but it's 100 years ago.
It's The Importance of Being Earnest, or as originally titled in 1895, a trivial comedy for serious people.
Well, it's Oscar Wilde. He is the author, and he was a very prolific playwright in the Victorian era. And he writes language. He writes character. It's just delightful to play him. I have always been of the opinion that a man who desires to get married should either know everything or nothing. Which do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
Well, I am pleased to hear that.
It's not a farce, it's not a heavy historical drama, but it is just a very fun, quick, fast-moving piece.
And the Arvada Center's Rod Lansberry says it's the first play he's directed in many years. As artistic producer for the center, Lansberry oversees the entire season, but directs only some of the shows. He has become known for musicals, big, bold musicals. The temptation to change things up by directing a play was just too enticing.
This piece was something I wanted to add to our season, and also I wanted the challenge myself as well.
Lansberry and the cast spent early rehearsals doing intensive table work.
Discussing the characterizations with the actors is important. The dialects, the references, the specific locations that are all London and the surrounding areas.
In the second place, I don't give my consent.
Your consent?
My dear fellow.
I'm actually very fortunate. Jack Worthing has been on my bucket list of acting characters since I was about 10 years old. So to get to play him is pretty spectacular.
His character is the epitome of the fading Victorian era.
He also lives a double life, and that is the whole point of The Importance of Being Earnest. He has his country manor that he lives on, where he is John Worthing, and then he has his apartment in London, where he is Ernest.
Enter Gwendolen, a proper Victorian beauty, obsessed with marrying a man with the right name.
And my ideal has always been to love someone of the name of Earnest. There is something in that name that inspires absolute confidence.
I would like to say that there is more to her than that, but that is her one goal in life at this particular time in the play.
But first, her strong-willed mother, Lady Bracknell, must approve.
Ignorance is like a delicate, exotic fruit. Touch it and the bloom is gone. She's so over the top. She's just so grand and so obnoxious. She does not converse. She pontificates. She just tells other people what it is that she wants them to know.
Upon learning her daughter wants to marry Ernest, Lady Bracknell interrogates him, only to learn he has no idea who his parents were, but was found in a handbag.
She replies by saying, "A handbag?" And that's a very well-known expression that Lady Bracknell always does. I think if she did something else with that particular line, people would say, "What's wrong with her?" A handbag?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I was in a handbag.
Performing Ernest in the black box brings advantages and challenges.
Probably the biggest challenge with the black box is how close in proximity the audience is to the stage. They are literally right up against the stage.
It's all in slight gestures, facial responses, and inflections.
Actors deliver those from a set designed to carry audiences back in time.
Brian Mulgrave and I worked very closely on trying to create what I like to refer to as a British music hall. So again, we're taking it back to that period of the late 1890s, the style of the roll drops, where it was more painted scenery, and to the point where we're using gas footlights, and just creating it much more in the way it would have been presented at that time.
Costumes, too. British costume designer Sally Bourke returns to the Arvada Center.
Her background is very much in the classics, in her education, So her sense of style and knowledge in designing these pieces, everything is built from scratch for this show.
Huge Victorian gowns, puffy sleeves, men's suits with just the right style and cut will add to the actors' characters.
As always, the Arvada Center is my favorite place to work. They treat you so well here. They make you feel so comfortable, so important. They have all the bells and whistles, and it's just the most delightful place to work.
And stepping into the roles of this trivial comedy, actors say it's a play that is sure to please as well.
The humor's all in the characters and the language. That's the great thing about Earnest.
Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have got into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
I think a modern day audience still enjoys watching people just take these digs at each other.
You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you!
The Importance of Being Earnest runs through February 19th. For tickets, go online to arvadacenter.org or call the box office at 720-898-7200.